The Farmer's Day. On a small farm nestled between rolling hills, Farmer Jack wakes up before the sun, as he does every day. The rooster's crowing breaks the stillness of the morning, and Jack stretches, yawns, and heads outside. His boots make a satisfying crunch on the gravel as he walks toward the barn. The sky is still dark, but it will soon light up with the colors of dawn. His first stop is the animal pens. "Good morning, Daisy," he says to his cow as he pats her gently before filling her trough with fresh hay. The chickens cluck loudly as they rush to greet him, eager for their breakfast. After making sure all the animals are fed and cared for, Jack heads to the field with his tractor. Today, he is preparing the land for the next planting of wheat. As he drives his tractor across the field, he notices his neighbor, Mrs. Miller, coming over from the next farm. She's an elderly woman with a strong back and a sharp mind, and she often helps Jack with his work. "Morning, Jack. The soil looks ready for planting," she says with a wink. Jack smiles, glad to have her wisdom and help. Together, they begin tilling the soil, working in rhythm with each other as the sun rises higher. By mid-morning, Jack's daughter, Emily, comes running from the house. Her overalls are covered in mud, and her face is bright with excitement. "Daddy! I finished feeding the chickens. Can I help with the tomatoes today?" she asks eagerly. Jack laughs, "Of course, sweetheart. Grab your basket, and let's pick some fresh tomatoes." Emily carefully selects the ripest tomatoes from the vines, her tiny hands quick but gentle. She proudly fills her basket while Jack tends to the garden, checking on the herbs and the cucumbers. Their dog, Rufus, follows them everywhere, wagging his tail and barking at the occasional rabbit that hops by. As they work, Jack's brother, Tom, arrives in his truck. He's bringing supplies from the market, including new seeds for the upcoming planting. "I've got a surprise for you, Jack," he says as he unloads the bags. "I brought some new apple trees. Thought we'd start a small orchard this year." Jack's eyes light up. "That's a great idea, Tom. We could use a good crop of apples for pies and cider." Together, they plant the new trees, making sure they're spaced well for the future harvest. At noon, the family takes a break under the big oak tree by the pond. Emily picks wildflowers to make a bouquet for her mother, while Jack and Tom talk about the harvest and the work ahead. Mrs. Miller joins them with a basket of freshly baked bread, and the group sits down to enjoy a picnic lunch. Laughter fills the air as they share stories and jokes, with Rufus contentedly lying at their feet. In the afternoon, Jack and his son, Ben, who's visiting from the city, repair a section of the fence near the back pasture. "I always forget how peaceful it is here, Dad," Ben says, hammering in a new post. Jack smiles, looking out at the sprawling fields. "The farm has its challenges, but there's no place I'd rather be." As the sun begins to set, Jack walks with Emily to the barn to milk the cows one last time. The barn is warm and smells of hay and fresh milk. Emily assists her father, carefully wiping down the cow's udder. "We'll make a fresh batch of butter tonight," Jack says. "Mom will be happy to make her famous butter rolls for dinner." The stars begin to twinkle in the sky as Jack and Emily sit on the porch at the end of the day. "It was a good day," Emily says, resting her head on her father's shoulder. Jack looks out over the fields, the rows of crops stretching out in the soft twilight. "Yes, it was," he agrees, feeling content. Life on the farm is hard work, but it's the kind of work that brings him joy. It is a bright, sunny morning in the countryside. The fields stretch endlessly, covered in a blanket of golden wheat, swaying gently in the breeze. Emma wakes up early, excited for the day ahead. She lives in a small wooden cottage with her grandparents, who have always loved the peaceful life away from the city. As she steps outside, her dog Max runs up to her, wagging his tail. "Come on, Max. Let's check on the chickens," she says cheerfully. Together, they walk to the chicken coop, where a dozen hens are clucking noisily. Emma gathers fresh eggs into a wicker basket, careful not to drop any. After breakfast, Emma joins her grandfather in the garden. He is planting tomatoes while she waters the rows of lettuce and carrots. "We'll have a good harvest this year," her grandfather says with a smile. Emma nods, proud of their hard work. Later, Emma decides to explore the meadow behind the house. She picks wildflowers, daisies, lavender, and buttercups, and weaves them into a crown. As she wanders farther, she spots a small pond where dragonflies hover above the water. Max splashes in, barking happily, while Emma sits on a rock and dips her feet in the cool water. In the afternoon, her grandmother bakes an apple pie. The aroma fills the cottage, making Emma's mouth water. "The apples are from the orchard you helped me pick last week," her grandmother says. Emma feels a warm glow of satisfaction as they enjoy the pie together. As the sun sets, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emma and her grandparents sit on the porch, sipping tea. Fireflies begin to twinkle in the twilight, and the sound of crickets fills the air. Emma looks around and smiles. Life in the countryside is simple, but every moment feels magical.